Good evening and welcome to our event. My name is Mia Gutridge. I am the chapter president of the Grand Rapids Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We thank you for taking the opportunity to be a part of our event today. This event is put on by the Economics Department of our chapter, and it's talking about know your worth. It is very important that you know your worth when you are negotiating job offers and even negotiating promotions within your job. So Miss Ashley Powell, she is the chair of the committee, and she is going to give you a lot of good nuggets so you can understand your worth and so you can know how to get paid for what you are worth. I am now going to turn it over to my soror, Care, so she can give you a introduction of our speaker, and we're going to get right in. And again, thank you for your time on this Friday evening to understand your worth.
Thank you so much, Soror President, and thank you all for joining us today. So I have the honor of introducing our speaker, my soror, my fans, and the illustrious, the amazing Mrs. Ashley Powell. So she is the owner of Connections Career Planning and Services. Ashley is a Detroit native who is certified in professional resume writing through CPRW, and she is a professional career coaching, CPCC. She is the owner and founder of Connections Career Planning and Services, where she helps connect individuals to their ideal careers through resume building, career coaching, interview prep, job search strategies, and professional development workshops. Aside from operating her own professional firm, she is the workforce development manager at a nonprofit organization where she manages a team of workforce development specialists to assist the re-entry population in reclaiming their lives by providing necessary resources and securing long-term employment. Ashley earned both bachelor's and master's degrees in public and nonprofit administration from Grand Valley State University and the University of Phoenix. With over 7 years of professional development experience, she strives to continue her passion in serving diverse populations by providing them with necessary tools to obtain a fulfilling career. So after reading that bio, y'all are in for a treat if you haven't already grasped that. So I am so excited to turn it over to Mrs. Ashley Powell.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, just to piggyback off of my sorors, thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. Again, because I know it's Friday, y'all can be anywhere right now, but you guys are here with us. So I want to make sure that you guys get exactly what you need as far as those tips on negotiating and just understanding your worth. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So a little bit about what's on the agenda tonight. First things first, what I like to do is to do a little personal assessment, right? Understanding your purpose and understanding where you're at currently in your career journey is important to know where you're headed. Kind of like a GPS system. When you're putting in those directions to figure out where you're going, they won't tell you until you figure out where you're at, right? So I feel like that's important when you're negotiating, right? Knowing where you're at and also knowing where you're going. And then we're also going to talk about basically what you guys are here for, those 5 steps of negotiation, right? Because those steps are going to be important when you are negotiating your compensation package, which would include, job title, benefits, and the big one, salary, right? And then we're going to talk about hitting a wall and what's next, because although you have these negotiating tips here to be able to help you, sometimes that may not work and you're stuck and you're like, okay, where do I need to go from here, right? So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about what steps you should take or things that you need to assess once you hit a wall. And then also, I call it a junk drawer. I'm going to give you guys a page of resources and tools. Now, I call it a junk drawer because I feel like everyone has one, that drawer in your house that you throw those necessary things in that you may not need at the moment, but you're going to use for later. That's what this resource page is. It is basically giving you those tips and tools that you can kind of reference later to take with you. So first off, I know you see these different quotes and different pictures. I wanted to get to know you guys a little bit better and for you guys to get to know a little bit about me. When you are negotiating salary or even your compensation package, sometimes that comes with a little bit of apprehensive, right? Like you're a little bit kind of worried and you think about it a little bit harder. So sometimes it is very beneficial to have those motivators, those things that are going to like give you pumped up to be able to negotiate, because at times it can cause people a lot of anxiety because you are literally taking a risk, right? You're taking a risk of possibly they not being able to give you exactly what you need, so you have to be able to walk away, just in a job offer or in a current role. So it changes sometimes, and that risk builds up a little anxiety and can be nerve wracking. So it's always good to kind of have those motivators to keep you going. So I want to explain kind of what my motivators are, and then I'm going to have you guys pop in the chat what your motivators are. So for me, I'm going to start off with this quote over here to the left that says, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." It says Wayne Gretzky, but Michael Scott. If anyone knows anything about me, I am a huge fan of the TV show The Office. So I use Michael Scott version of that quote, but that is literally a quote that I use to kind of talk myself into making sure that I am striving for the best, right? So if I don't take that shot, I miss it. So I always make sure I use that quote. Another one, if y'all see at the top, some of you may recognize this woman at the top, that's Issa Rae, right? If you guys watch that TV series, Insecure, you notice that different times when she was going through a lot of different struggles in her life, or even when she was like talking through some difficult situations, or even just to give herself that motivation, she talked to herself in the mirror, right? Even her raps, her rhymes, everything was through that mirror. And I tend to do that a lot when I'm practicing, if I'm interviewing for a new position or practicing how to speak to my manager about salary negotiations or anything like that. I practice in the mirror, just like Issa Rae did. You know, I kind of pump myself up like, hey, girl, you got this. We're going to do this, right? So that's one of my motivators as well. Another one, huge one, which I'm quite sure a lot of you guys have this one in common is family, right? My husband and my kids are those things that keeps me going every day. A little nerve wracking at times, but anything that I do for them. And last but not least, this quote from Maya Angelou. Now, I wouldn't say that it is a motivator, but it's one of those quotes that keeps me grounded to let me know what my ending goal is, which is, again, just to merely survive and thrive and do it with some passion and some compassion, humor and style. So that helps me kind of motivate myself to be able to talk me through difficult situations such as these. So I'm going to ask you guys, what are your motivators? Now take some time, think about it, put it in the chat. And if you guys are okay, I'm going to read some of your guys' motivators. What motivates you? When you're in a sticky situation, you need to pump yourself up and it's time to make some decisions. What are those motivators for you? Okay. Positive quotes. Okay. Absolutely. Any other motivators anyone has? Maybe any of the ones that I posted. If you could just put in a chat anything that gets you going, that motivates you to kind of make those steps in life. Family. Anybody family? Okay. Affirmations. Okay. Just wanting to have something better for myself. Absolutely. You need that stuff. You need those things, those reminders to get you going. Okay. Okay. I'm loving it. I'm loving it because again, you need that pep, right? I don't know. For me, I feel like having a cup of coffee Having a cup of coffee, I feel like I can conquer the entire world at the beginning of my day. So sometimes, those other little motivators can help you. Oh no, no problem. I see it now. Friends and family and making them proud. Oh my gosh, that is so, so important because when you come home from a long day, right? You come home from this long day and you can stare your family in the face and make them feel like, okay, I'm doing this for y'all. I'm tired, but I'm making it happen for y'all. Overcoming challenges in positive environments. Yes, yes. Spiritual purpose. I love it. And connection is my why. And I love the music. Oh, yes. Listen, y'all, when I listen to certain kind of music, that motivates me as well. I won't tell y'all who those artists are. Some of you guys know me, y'all know who those artists are. But yes, I have a lot of different array of music that I listen to get me going. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Loving it, loving it, loving it. So, yes, I want you guys to kind of hone in on those motivators, right? Because when it comes to these things like this, you're going to need them when it's time to kind of get in there and start asking for those negotiations, right? Or start negotiating. So, next slide. So, in this slide right here, we're going to assess a little bit exactly where you guys land currently. It's a Venn diagram that just kind of just shows it's pretty much self-explanatory. But one thing I want to do before we kind of really get into where you think you are in this diagram, I would like to pose a question, very important question. So for y'all, for the poll, take away salary, take away your benefits, right? Take away that title, strip all of the things down, and it's just your current career, it's job duties, what you're doing. Answer this question. Are you currently fulfilled in your role today? Don't consider, oh, I'm okay with that because, I get okay. Don't think about oh, I get paid well, so I'm sticking around, or oh, they allow me to work 100% remote. They pay for my gas mileage, and like throw all of that away right now, and just really sit back and think: could you do this job for free? Not that you will do it for free, but could you? Could you possibly do your current role with no pay, no benefit?
And I launched a poll to Ashley, and are you able to see the results right now?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Some of you are still answering, giving you time to answer. Oh, y'all, it's looking a certain way. It's looking. Okay. Just waiting on a couple of more folks to answer the poll.
That might be me.
Okay. No, that's totally fine.
Right. Do you want me to share the results for other folks to see? Or
Absolutely.
No? Okay.
I will, because I'm going to talk about these results.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Do everyone see those results? A little bit there. 44% of you feel that you are currently fulfilled in your role. No, without the salary, without the benefits, without the title. 56% of you do not. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's dig a little bit deep in that. And I'm talking to the ones that do feel fulfilled and those who do not, feel like they're fulfilled in their role. Where do you land here on this diagram right here? Are you completely, and I'm speaking more to those who said they are not fulfilled, right? You don't have to put it in the chat, just mainly kind of assess that for yourself. You have exactly what you're looking for, and you love what you do, but you are absolutely poor. Oh, I know you think about that. Think about that and how that can affect you. And that could be a reason why you want to negotiate salary, right? Or you have a vision as to what your dream job looks like, but you don't necessarily have the experience and training, and you will have to be able to obtain other certifications or, kind of sign up or take classes, right? Get another degree, rather. Or some of you are currently in positions that pay really, really well, but you absolutely hate what you're doing. One place that I find is very common for a lot of individuals is that one circle over there that says, I'm good at, right? It's so many individuals that feel that they are really good at what they're doing, but they absolutely hate it. They absolutely hate what they're doing. And just to understand that when it comes down to figuring out exactly where you land, it helps you get to that winner's position, right? That winner's position is obviously it pays well, you're really good at it, and you absolutely love it, and it's all what you want, right? So we have to talk about those steps to get to that winner's position. And matter of fact, you can also put this in the chat too. I'm gonna ask another question. How many of you in your current role started off maybe in that winner's position, and then once you actually got deep in your role, and these are more so for people that's been there for a little bit, it started to shift. Has that happened to anyone on here? I'm gonna check the chat to see. Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. I tell you guys, that happens every time, because you know what these companies do? They present their best self. and then next thing you know, you're there and you're like, oh, okay, not exactly where I want to be, right? Again, this is extremely important when figuring out where you're at, because you have to be able to write down those goals to be able to get back into that winner's position, right? What skill set or what experience that you will have to be able to gain to get to that winner's position, right? Do you have to do some personal assessment to be able to get into that winner's position? Or you're currently at your role and you feel overworked and underpaid. How many can say that you feel that way, where you feel overworked and underpaid, no matter what the salary is, right? And you know what's interesting about that? And I'm gonna leave a little tidbit with that alone as well. When it comes down to you feeling like, obviously you love the job, but currently you could be feeling overworked and underpaid, it could simply due to communication, allowing yourself to set up boundaries for what your workload is like. Or maybe you're not at the same, I wouldn't say the same level, but you're not really kind of have a good relationship with management, because we all know there's two main reasons to leave a job: management and pay, right? So maybe you and the manager is not quite that, you don't have a great management, right? So sometimes being able to alleviate that to make sure that you're happy in your role is to be able to set those clear boundaries for yourself, especially for you leaders or any of you that work in nonprofit. It is difficult to have those boundaries because you're in the industry of serving, but it's always something to consider. Or with any other industry that causes a lot of mental, you're draining yourself mentally, or even just serving individuals, that can be a lot. So making sure that you're setting those boundaries so you can get to that winner's position, because technically you could be there if you can just have a simple conversation and maybe negotiate other things, right? So moving forward, these are the 5 steps to negotiation, right? First things first, you obviously want to do your research. You want to know whatever job that you're applying for, or even the current position that you're in, you want to know what others are getting paid for in that role. So you want to be able to research, or even the job benefits, right? Or the job titles. You want to be able to research as to what will be beneficial to you. That second thing is to understand your skill set. Obviously, you want to know what you're going to bring to the table. So being able to assess your skills and listen to what the employers, or you see what the employer may need to be able to leverage that skill set, to be able to negotiate that compensation package, right? Number three, that's one thing to consider. Timing is everything, right? To alleviate the rejection, you want to make sure that it is the perfect timing. And like I said, I'm going to go a little bit deep with these as well. Number four, confidence is key. Now, we all know when you're negotiating, you go in there and you're talking to folks, and that's just anything, right? When you want to sell yourself, you want to be able to have that confidence to make them want to invest. And that's with anything. So if you lack that confidence in that setting, people will take advantage of that. One thing, last but not least, remain open, but do not settle. Let me repeat that. Remain open, but do not settle. That means that, if you don't quite land exactly at the number that you're looking for as far as salary, because I know when it comes down to negotiations, most times you start with salary, right? Let's keep it open to negotiating those benefits and a job title that would kind of help alleviate that, or to give you the best compensation package that you are looking for. So again, I repeat, remain open, but do not settle. Please do not settle, because then you find yourself back at the same place that you are, where you're not loving the job that you're in because you're missing something, right? So you have to be an advocate for yourself. You have to push for that. So just getting in a little bit deeper about your research, right? The first thing you want to kind of research is that experience level that you bring to the table, right? You want to know what others are being paid with that experience level, because we all know more experience, a different pay, right? So you want to assess how long, even the skill set, how long you've been doing what you're doing in your industry, to be able to leverage that as in negotiation, right? So you want to be able to understand that experience, right? What you bring into that table. So make sure you are researching the experience that you have and what people are compensating for that level of experience in your area. And that leads me to the next thing, location. Location is important, because a lot of human resources, or their compensation department, they base their salaries off of where you're located, right? So obviously, if you were to go on Indeed right now and search a lot of different jobs, you will see out there on the west side of the country, like California, you're seeing that they have six-figure salaries, right? Like most of their jobs are six-figure salaries. And you're like, oh, okay, well, if it's remote and it's based in California, maybe I'll get the same. Probably not. Usually a lot, especially with remote jobs, please pay attention to that, because they actually put that in their job description. Say, hey, although this is the salary range, we're basing this off of your location. So please make sure when you are doing research as to far as collecting what you need to bring to the table with negotiation, look at what they're offering state and national level, and to be able to find a middle ground. Next thing is being able to leverage your education and your certifications. A lot of these positions require you to have a certain level of education and to have certain certifications. And then other jobs, it may not be required, but it could be beneficial to the role. So ensuring to research what is being paid for what education level and what certifications are being paid in your area, as well as nationally, to kind of get a starting point. That is extremely important as well. And last but not least, if I don't tell y'all anything today, please research the company and the organization you are applying for. If you do nothing else, please make sure that you research that company and that organization. Why? Because you can learn a lot, right? Sometimes you could be hopping in a car with no gas. Now, I say that because some organizations are grassroots, to where you think you could get a certain amount of salary, but because they're a grassroots organization, or maybe an organization that is selling a product that's depleting, like, for example, and I'm just throwing it out here, I don't even know if this exists, but say, for instance, a company that makes floppy disks. We all know we don't need those no more. So although you may get the salary you may want, you may not be there very long because that product is not going to be utilized in the next 10 years, or the company is just getting that head start, right? And then also a part of that research, making sure that you are reading employees' reviews. Like I know for sure in Indeed, I'm not sure at any other job search engines, but Indeed provide reviews from the employees of that company that you are applying for. Now, for some of you that already are at the company organization and is looking to negotiate, you already know what it is. So at that point, you can be able to know what the needs are and be able to leverage that as well. But for those of you who just may have received an offer or looking to receive an offer, please do your research on that company and organization, because those reviews from those employees will tell you so much that you will not learn in an interview, right? Like, say, for instance, just an example, if you are currently, uh, you're not great at fast paced, right? Because I see that a lot in job descriptions, right? Fast paced environments or unlimited, unlimited vacation. Although unlimited vacation seems like the good thing, but you read those reviews that they work you to the bone, or the work environment is toxic. So it's all of those things you have to consider when you're doing your research, right? Because, if there's a position out there that you absolutely do not want to do based off of employees, or just look at, not employees, but off of the employee reviews, and also looking at the job description, there's not enough money in the world they can offer you for you to want to get the job or even stay. So just please consider all of that stuff when you are applying or doing your research to be able to negotiate. Step two. Let's talk about understanding that skill set, right? Obviously, when you're looking at certain job descriptions, they have they have requirements, right? You scroll all the way to the bottom and you see requirements. You want to look at the skill set that they are asking for and play matchmaker. Let's see exactly what skill set that you have that you can possibly bring to the table, right? Because those are those skill sets that you can be able to leverage and utilize in the future. And don't think that all of that skill set, when you're looking at those job descriptions, that you have to have all of those direct skill set. You can also look at what can be relatable to that skill set, right? So what's relatable? And if you are at the point where you have either received an offer or currently work at a position, you can hear during your interview what the employer needs, right? So when they mention certain skill set and you possess that skill set, you can be able to use it, right? To be able to get the compensation package that you deserve. Now, one thing I would like to pose another question for you guys is that if you could put down that one skill set, your one most marketable skill set, what is that skill set? Throw that in the chat for me. What is that one marketable skill set that you possess? Oh, I have a question too in the chat. But if you guys can put in the chat, what is that skill set, that one skill set you have that makes you marketable? Maybe, you're a great problem solver. You have great leadership skills, right?
Ashley, would you like us to hold all the questions to the end, or would you like us to like flag you in between when they're giving them to us?
You can flag me in between, so I can go ahead and answer this one question. I hear they also base your salary off of what they know about your spouse. If they have a good job or not, is that true? They shouldn't be. Now, they shouldn't utilize that because your spouse is not working for you, right? So you are. So being able to make sure that you don't kind of mention that is important. I do know that in some ways, if you're currently working at a position, they will kind of hear in as to, if you have your spouse in there, they kind of consider that like, oh, maybe they don't need so much because they're a two income household. But At that point, you need to remind them, my spouse don't work for this organization, it's me. You know, I'm asking for myself. They shouldn't consider that, by the way. Okay. So I'm gonna read some of these skill sets. Developing a strong climate and culture for a healthy work environment. Absolutely. Like that is a huge asset, because when you're bringing new people into a work environment, you want to make sure that the culture is positive, that it's productive, to keep people to want to stay. So I love that. Interpersonal skills, emotional intelligence. Oh my gosh, guys, when it comes down to working in your space, ensuring that you have that emotional intelligence, because you're going to get thrown curveballs, right? And you have to be able to handle what's going down at work with grace, right? So being able to kind of have that emotional intelligence is great. I understand when you said pleasant and healthy. I figured you put that together. Thank you. My ability to identify gaps within a department. Oh my gosh, and close those gaps. Let me tell you something. That is a really, really great skill set, because sometimes even those departments don't even, that's why they need that. They don't even understand where the gaps are. So sometimes they don't realize that the gaps are there until later and they're in trouble. So if you're the person that can catch those gaps early on, that is perfect. That is amazing. Building interpersonal relationships and recruiting. Listen, recruiting is a big thing in those relationships right now, especially with the job market, right? And I'm telling y'all, right now is the time. I'm going to get into that a little bit more, but being able to kind of assess that and just recruit and know how to build with people, because right now, a lot of these jobs, they're like, oh, we need someone, we need, right? And being able to recruit people and bring them in is extremely important. That's something that you can utilize as well. Coming up with creative solutions to make processes easier and more effective. Listen, when it comes down to, and I'm speaking on project management. And I know that that may not even be your background, Jasmine. That may not be your background. But I'm speaking just in general. If that was something that you were looking into, that is huge. Or just anything in general. Just being able to come up with solutions, because with different programs and projects, there's so many things that can happen just in day to day. And you're like, okay, wait, we have this gap or we have these barriers, right? How can we be able to come up with a new solution to make things easier? And processes are so important when it comes down to having that system at work, because again, going back to feeling overworked and underpaid, it could simply be because the processes at your current employer can be all out of whack. And that's what's causing the stressors. And then that can potentially cause you to leave, right? Psychological safety is safety. I think that's safety. Okay, because that's important as well. Risk management and compliance. Oh, yes, risk management is huge, because being able to plan what could possibly happen in the future when it comes down to any project, or any type of duties, and what's going to happen with the organization, being able to make sure that everything is in line, and that they're ready for those audits, and that, oh, an issue arises, that's okay, we've prepared for that. That's what risk management is. We prepare for that. So we know that that was the risk we were going to take. So here we have this solution. Oh, these are great, guys. Thank you so much. Adaptability and interpersonal communication. Again, adaptability is a great thing as well, because when you're transitioning in your roles, or when you're in your current roles, to be able to adapt to those changes is something that a skill set that everyone doesn't possess. And that can cause some stressors too at work. So being able to be adaptable and having those interpersonal communications, that's great. And integrity. Integrity is a huge thing, right? Being able to, step into these roles and fulfill the missions of those companies and organizations. The main bulk of that, of the core of that, is integrity. Absolutely. So yes, this is being able to assess, and that's where you're knowing your worth, guys, right? It's assessing what you bring to the table and understand what direct skill set the job is asking for, as well as the relatable skill set that they're asking for. Being able to kind of leverage between those two is amazing. It is amazing. You should be able to do that, and that will definitely help you when it comes down to leveraging. Okay, so I told you guys I was going to talk about timing, right? Because with anything, right, timing is absolutely everything. If you're currently in your role, and although you may not be completely happy, you're currently killing the game, right? That means you've received awards and your supervisor is giving you so much praise, like, oh my gosh, you've been doing so well. I absolutely love how you do X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. Then you can respond with, oh, yeah, I see that I've done X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. So what about where the money resides? Y'all know what I'm talking about? What about how can I possibly, what can we do to negotiate a raise? Because as you can see, I'm doing extremely well, right? Because they love to give you praise, but they'll apprehensive of giving you money. Just remind them that, hey, I'm knowledgeable. I'm bringing this to this table. You know my skill set. You know I'm capable of. Use that. Or what about any of you guys that received an offer, right? Now is that time. Don't negotiate anything prior to an offer. I feel like y'all know that, but I would like to repeat that because as a hiring manager, that has happened to me one point where we were in an interview process and someone tried to negotiate the salary prior to even being chosen. So, and that was interesting enough. But making sure to ask at the right timing. Another part about timing is if you're currently in your role, understanding when your human resources department is reviewing their annual budgets and putting those out there. That is a great time to be able to ask for a different compensation package because again, that's what they have that for. And to be honest with you guys, I think they do that annually. And correct me if I'm wrong, if I have any HR people on this workshop right now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's about now. I know some companies are a little bit different, but I think they're reviewing budgets and all of that jazz, bringing out new roles and everything around the top of the year. So yes, this is, it's January, y'all. This is the time. This is the time, if that's correct. I think it is still. So yes, if you feel like recently you have been striving and thriving at work, and you're like, okay, now that I've been doing these things and I'm learning new things and I'm productive and I have the skill set, I've received all these awards, it's time to negotiate. Or for those who just received an offer and it's not quite where you're at, and you killed the interview, obviously, because you got the offer. This is the time to negotiate because this obviously alleviate that rejection, is especially for those who are in their current role looking for a raise. Step 4, confidence, confidence, confidence is key. Other than going through those first few steps that I was able to kind of go over, that gives you a little confidence because you know you've done your research, you were able to ask during the right timing, and different things like that. It is important, and you understand your skill set, obviously. That gives you the confidence. So when you're sitting in front of that hiring manager or talking back and forth with that person, you can be able to lead with that confidence. One thing that has helped me, and I realized this, and I was just like, whoa, it was like a mind opener. It was mind blowing. One thing you always can carry with you that can give you your confidence a little bit is that you're not negotiating with the employer in the organization. You're literally negotiating with the person across from you. That's huge because that kind of lowers that anxiety a little bit because you're like, okay, when you think of employer or organization, in my mind, I'm thinking of like 100 folks, right? That scares me off a little bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's 100 people, right? But then I'm thinking, oh no, I'm only talking to this person in front of me. So it's kind of like playing the game in a way. You're playing chess, not checkers. Play the opponent. Play the opponent, not the game, or a little bit of the game, but mainly the opponent. You have to make sure that you can turn that person across from you that you asking for the negotiation to be or your compensation package to negotiate. You have to make them your advocate because these are the people that are going to go back to human resources or their compensation team and say, hey, I think X, Y, and Z, she should, or he or she should be getting these compensation package because of X, Y, and Z, right? Being able to make that person in front of you your advocate is game changing. And how do you do that? Let me tell you how to do that real quick. First things first, listen. Throughout your interview, and even when you're working with your manager, your boss, listening to what their needs are, right? Listening to exactly what they're saying they're struggling with. And when you're listening, that way you can capture exactly what you bring to the table and be like, I can use that later. Right? Right? So just sit back and just listen as to what those barriers are for them and what they truly need in their departments. Right? So when you sit back and you listen, that's when you get the most information you need to be able to negotiate. Second thing, strategize. Strategizing, listening to what those gaps are and what their needs are, and being able to say, what kind of skill set that I possess to be able to fill in that gap, right? That's why it's always important to understand the skill set that you possess, right? Understanding those direct skill set and that relatable skill set, because you can be able to negotiate that. So in the realm of confidence, make sure one thing, you are only negotiating with the person across from you, not the entire employer or not the entire organization. It's one person. Second thing, listen, right? Listen to what their needs are. Listen to what they need so you can use that to negotiate, right? And then the last but not least, you strategize. You go in there with a strategy and say, okay, I'm going to utilize this to make sure I get what I need out of my compensation package. That is knowing your worth. Absolutely. Okay, I'm seeing some questions in here. Active listening, yes. What if you're met by your leader with budget constraints? Oh, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. We can't because I got something for that too. Okay, I got you. Yes, someone put in chat, you have to provide value to them. And that's what this is. When you come in with that confidence and you have that skill set and you've heard what they need, you can literally use that to leverage. And you're like, that's valuable. And that can for sure, they're like, oh, we need this. So they're willing to talk through it. They're willing to hear you out, at least hear you out, right? Yes, confidence is key. Moving on. Remain open, but do not settle. And you see, I got right there, stand on business. That's it. That's the slide, y'all. Stand on business. Y'all know that's the new slang, the TikTok slang here. Standing on business, which means that being firm, understand what your must-haves are, and don't deviate from your must-haves. If you absolutely, like if you went home and you did a budget and you was like, and you came up with a number, or you came up with the benefits like, oh, I'm gonna need childcare assistance, or maybe I'm thinking about going back to school. I might need tuition assistance, or oh man, I don't know if I can commute back and forth to work, especially in the winter. And you live in Michigan. What about remote work, right? Or even bonuses. So it's stuff that you can remain open to, but do not settle. But stand on that business. Understand what you need. Understand your must-haves. Understand that first, and then that way you don't budge from that, because the second that they see a little bit of red or a little bit of openness, they will take advantage of that. And it's not the fact that they don't respect you as an employee or they don't necessarily value you. It's more so of that's the business, right? If they don't have to pay you what you, they're not going to. You have to truly stand on business and advocate for yourself, right? Do you have suggestions for negotiating benefits related to relocating? Yes, I'm getting there too. I love these questions. I love these questions. I love these questions. So yes, I'm getting to that. I'm right. It's going. It's going. The organization is standing on business. Yes, because they, again, just like you should. Am I saying it right? Shikinya. Yes, they are standing on business. They're standing on business. So should you. Yes, I did it right. they're standing on business. So should you. So making sure that you are remaining open, but do not settle. Absolutely do not settle. Okay, for you guys, I have asked those questions about hitting a wall, right? Because those employers, that's what they do. Oh, we can't do this, and yeah, and you know that kind of thing. And you hit a wall, and you're just like, okay, what should I do next? Reevaluate the situation, right? Listening to what the needs are and kind of what your needs are, and saying, okay, looking at the job description, looking at titles, and or the benefits. Maybe this is not what I want to fight for. And also reaffirming, especially to an employer you're already working with, reaffirming, like, let me remind you, what's that? Let Jay-Z said it the best, you know, let me reintroduce myself. Okay. So make sure you reaffirming to them, like, hey, this is what I bring to the table. You might want to think about it, right? Exploring alternatives, right? That's where that comes from as far as like those other parts of negotiating, other parts of the compensation package, like I mentioned before, negotiating the title, negotiating the benefits, anything that can kind of alleviate to you using your compensation to be able to see if you can make something, you can stabilize and something that you will be happy with. Ask for clarification, ask questions. Hey, like, how did you get to that number? Right? If they come back, or, you know, what were you considering? And, you know, I'm actually going to leave you guys with a negotiating sample email that you can use too. So be aware of that. And then last but not least, know when to walk away, right? Because you've done your research, you know what the market's looking like, you know what you're supposed to get paid, you understand your value, and sometimes they just don't get it. So you have to be okay with knowing when to walk away, right? Because again, they always, and I'm gonna reiterate, they always have a range. And usually most of the times they start you off at the bottom. And then, you know, they're like, oh, okay, we can go here. No, always understanding and knowing when to walk away is important. Okay, so I know I just been talking about general negotiating tips, but I kind of want to give just a little bit quick little tips that are tailored to salary and job title and benefit. When it comes down to salary, you always want to try to negotiate maybe 10 to 20% of what the asking is or what they offer. And how I like to kind of do that is I always think of, I play off the fives, right? So say, for instance, they're like, oh, we're going to offer you 70K. I'm going to counter offer with 75K. Although 70 I was okay with, but I could have got 73, right? 74, you know? So always play off those fives and move from there. That's my thing. I've done it before and it worked. So always go for the higher heights. When it comes down to job title, really try to assess why you're negotiating job title. Would it change exactly what you're doing to make you more fulfilled in your role? Or would it give you that leverage? Or you're currently in a role that it's a stepping stone for you. And if you get a certain job title, you know that can help you catapult your career to the next level, right? So understand why you need to negotiate that job title and then do so. Benefits. Benefits, always. One benefit I love is that wellness and mental health assistance. I said, oh, I can have therapies for free. I absolutely love it. Okay. Yes, I can. Job titles does matter. Absolutely. But yes, that paid vacation, like I said, although it seemed like a good thing, y'all, just be careful with unlimited. Read those employee reviews and make sure that unlimited don't mean they overworked, okay? Right? But looking at those things that matter to you, right? Bonuses. Because one thing about salary, I'll say, sometimes you can go into with the right salary, but you're not, they don't give annual raises. So you're stuck at that salary for years, right? Understanding and asking those clarifying questions to understand your benefits and negotiating those benefits. Because that has happened. I've had situations where, or heard of situations where they're like, okay, this is going to be your pay, but this is going to be your pay forever. And you're like, oh no, because cost of living go up. I need the cost to go. I need you to at least give me a bonus here or two, right? So yeah, just negotiating those benefits and understand what you truly need for your compensation package. I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Failing to negotiate early on could cost you between 1 million and 1.5. Listen, that's a lot of money over lost earnings. And this is just based off a compensation package alone. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to leave $1 million to 1.5 million on the table over the time. That's a lot of money that you could have in your pocket. So please use this as a motivator. Use this as a motivator to negotiate that compensation package so you won't leave this money on the floor. That's basically leaving a whole bag of money on the floor and then some, right? So yes, always think about that when you're negotiating. If you do not, you can lose earnings. And who is that benefiting? Not you. So making sure you are pushing for that. Right? Here's my joke chart. So I have some career assessments for you guys to kind of take a look at. And again, we will send this out for all of the attendees to be, so you don't have to kind of memorize all of this stuff. But we have career assessments that you guys can kind of use if you're still trying to assess where you want to go. Also, salary research websites that you can go to see where that range is for you. Also, if you need to understand your skill set, here's a few places you can go to kind of evaluate that skill set. And it always start with personality, y'all. Not trying to be funny, but who you are as a person, it would determine what kind of job role you're in. So, taking those personality assessments may help you as well. So please make sure to do so. And now I am going to open up the floor for some questions because we got about 2 minutes. And I'm open there. Yes. So I'm here to answer any of you guys' questions. I'm gonna kind of go back and try to see if I missed someone questions. Okay. What if you go in with the intent to negotiate a certain amount, and to your surprise, they actually offer that amount? Would you recommend to negotiate for more? Now, I heard Now, if they do offer you the amount, it does depend on what they're offering you. So say, for instance, you're looking at a range, you've done your research, and they are offering you that average range or a little bit above average, then don't negotiate, right? But if you know they're offering you that low average and you know you can get more, then ask. But if they're offering you a good range based off of your research, then don't negotiate no more. Don't get greedy. But if they are offering you, if they're offering you a salary that is lower than that range, that's on the low end, then definitely negotiate. Although it may be what you're looking for, you can negotiate. But if it's something on a higher end or the average, try not to negotiate that. Again, you're at risk of them saying no, thank you, and that's okay too, because it wasn't meant for you. And that's okay. You're welcome. Any other questions? What is your opinion on job postings that do not provide? Okay. To me, half and half, this could be considered a red flag, but this is for those companies who go based off of your experience, that skill set, their compensation team kind of give you a salary based off of what your skill set is. But again, that is a red flag because in a way you want to know what range it is because that helps you to not waste your time, right? Because the job seems really well, but then you get there and you're like, oh no, I definitely need a lot more than that. So I always, when I give my advice, I'm like, kids, y'all, please put the salary range up there so people can at least know where they can go, right? But a lot of these employers do tend to not put up the salary range only because they base it off of what you're bringing to the table. So yeah, as a manager, I know some companies don't post it because if they have other employees with similar position, they may not be in the range. Exactly. That's why I said it was a half of a red flag in a way, right? Because it's not exactly what they're asking for. So they're trying to lowball you in a little bit, right? So it's always good to have that range up there because they will try to lowball you as much as they can. I always ask the recruiter for salary band before giving a desired number. Absolutely, because then they're like, "What's your desired number?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay. If you can give me a range, that would be helpful." Any other questions? What are some red flags or warning signs individuals should be aware of during the negotiation process that might indicate that they're being undervalued by the organization? Whew. So, this is one red flag, right? If you know you are giving them market value and they're offering under market, like under market, people will do that. If they are offering under market, that is a red flag. That is a huge red flag. And that means it's an undervalue. And I'm gonna just say this, I'm gonna put this out. And I don't care what feedback I get with this. I'm gonna say this out there. When it comes down to people such as myself, or sometimes you always gotta push so you're not undervalued, right? Because we all know that sometimes it can be discriminatory alone. So when you're starting to realize that they're giving you under the market, or if you're asking for clarifying questions as to where they come up with that salary range and none of those answers make sense, that is a huge red flag as to why. As to like, I might not even want to work here. That's why, again, please, when you're doing research that company. Listen, I look at all those reviews, the good ones, the bad ones, and the ugly. I try to figure out where I need to go because they will lowball you. Like I said, people can only do to you what you allow. Thank you, Apple Watch. Sorry. But any other questions? Any other questions? Oh my gosh! Again, can you revisit negotiating relocation packages? How much do you best negotiate signing bonuses? How would you calculate the fees associated with moving without having to dip in your own funds? So that comes with that research too, right? When you're looking at the price of how much it costs for you to relocate, right? And you can be able to see what that number is and to be able to say, okay, all right, y'all ain't gonna offer me a certain. I'm just gonna throw a number out there. Y'all gonna offer me about $4,000, and it's just low. $4,000 to negotiate, or no, to relocate when it actually cost me 10, right? Like, no, I need all of that covered. If you really want me to, I need at least majority of that. So I'll say, I can't give an exact number, but I will follow up with some exact numbers for you. But one thing you want to assess when you're calculating those fees is looking at what it's going to cost you and what they're offering. And then if it's so far off, try to negotiate to where you can find a middle ground to where, okay, like I can cover some of that, right? Because some places they do offer relocation packages, but it's not exactly what you need. So being able to negotiate that as well. Any other questions? Oh my gosh, thank you guys. Thank you so much, so much. And like I said, if you guys just still need some further assessment and you just want to work with a career coach such as myself, please visit my website. And I would definitely love to work with you guys if you just need a little bit more help in that realm. But other than that, please take our webinar evaluation to let us know how we did. Feedback is so important to me. And then I'm also going to send you guys those my junk drawer page, as well as some other resources. So please be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much.